Good morning, dear students. Navya, Sanuvar, Vedant. Good morning to all three of you. Can anyone please text me if I am audible clearly to you so that I can start my lecture today? Please do, Kanchan, good morning. Please do text me if I am audible enough. Okay, thank you, Navya. Thank you so much, dear students. Let's begin our lesson today. So, I was teaching till line number 19, but some of you were not present. So, I would again like to, start from line number 13. So, you please have a look. Line number 19 I shall start from today. 13 I will rather start from today, from 13 today. So just a minute. Well, as you can see, if you have the textbook in front of you, you can open it and you can write down the meanings as are flashed onto the screen, or otherwise you can write later on. Also, I've got a concept video with the same material, so you can have a look. You can watch my concept video and write down at that time, or you can also write down if you have the textbook open in front of you. Here I am, dear students. See, here in this poem, the poet John Keats, okay, John Keats is the poet. So in this poem, John Keats draws our attention to all the beautiful objects of nature that become a source of inspiration for us. They become a source of sustenance for us, okay, in our day-to-day life. So it is a nature poem. That is why the poet has taken the objects from nature to justify his point of view. He has taken all the objects from nature, okay, like for example you can see here he is saying such the sun, the moon, trees old and young. He has taken the reference of sun, moon and young as well as old trees. Trees old and young means both young and old trees sprouting a shady boom for simple sheep. Sprouting a shady boom. A shady boom means a kind of a shade. So young and old trees, they provide shade to the simple sheep. Okay, sheep. So this is how these young and old trees, they become a helping hand to the simple sheep. Understood? And moon and sun, they also give us, they sustain our life. Okay, without sunlight it's difficult for the proper maintenance of the entire ecosystem. Okay, therefore these are the objects of nature which give us sustenance in life, that give us some pleasure, some kind of inspiration at some point of time in our life. And he has also made mention of, as I told you, young and old trees which give shade to the simple sheep on a hot day. Okay, and he's also saying, and such are daffodils. So daffodils, you might have seen flowers, beautiful flowers. Okay, so such are daffodils with the green world they live in. So the poet has made a reference of daffodils also, that daffodils also give us some pleasure. Daffodils are a real treat for our eyes, and they provide us some kind of pleasure, okay, because of the way they live in the green world. Okay, and next object that he has made mention of in this particular few lines, he says, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season. Okay, clear rills. clear reels here refer to small rivers, clean, small rivers having clean water. Okay, clear reels means small rivers having clean water. So, and the presence of small rivers with clean waters also provide as a kind of a source of cool breeze, okay, against the hot season. Against the hot season, if a day is very much hot, if a day is very much sultry, in that case a nearby water body in the form of a small river with clear water, they provide us a kind of cool breeze, okay, so that reduces the temperature in the nearby region, okay, and that becomes a source of comfort for many of us, okay, who live in the lap of nature. So dear students, as you can see, you have to read it together. For example, see, I am reading it together from clear reels till hot season, then you will be able to understand. Clear reels that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season. It means nearby in the somewhere in nature, if there is a water body like small rivers with clean water, that provides cool breeze to the people who are living nearby, or people who are nearby. Okay, so that those clear reels or those small rivers become a source of comfort for those who are around the water body against a hot season or during a very scorching heat. Okay, during a scorching heat or during a sultry day. Okay, now let's move on to the next object of nature that the poet mentions. Here you see, he says, the mid-forest brake rich with a sparkling of fair musk rose blooms. Okay, it means see, mid-forest brake means forest fern. Okay, forest fern. So he's also making a reference of the objects from nature, saying that mid-forest brake rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms. Okay, forest fern with beautiful flowers, okay, they also become a source of sustenance or source of pleasure for all of us. Okay, so dear students, in these few lines 13 to 19, the poet has taken some beautiful objects from nature, the examples of which are sun, moon, young and old trees, then you can see here daffodils, then small rivers, then he said mid forest brake. These are some of the objects that the poet has taken reference of from nature in order to show to us that these objects, okay, are a source of comfort and source of sustenance for many of us who are living in the lap of nature. Understood? So here the poet gives importance to those beautiful objects in nature, because it's a nature poem. That is why the poet has made mention of all the objects from nature, and he says that a thing of beauty, like the examples of likes of which he has already mentioned, sun, moon, young and old trees, then small rivers, then mid forest brake, okay, daffodils, all these things are the examples of things of beauty. So he said that things of beauty help us. What is the primary concept of this lesson? Primary concept is a thing of beauty is always a source of joy for us. Okay, so if you speak metaphorically, it can this imagery can be extended to our everyday life also. Like for example, if we get motivated by listening to a song, or if we get motivated by watching a movie, if we are motivated by a film star, or if we are motivated by a writer, or if we are motivated by a sports person, okay, whatever might be the source of our motivation, that particular thing becomes an object of a beautiful object for us. Okay, a thing of beauty for us. Okay, a thing of beauty for us. So a thing of beauty, anything, it could be a role model, it could be a poster, it could be a slogan, it could be a book, it could be a sports person, film star or writer, social worker, anybody that inspires us becomes a thing of beauty for us. And when we are passing through the bad phase of our life, that beautiful object or a thing of beauty that keeps us encouraging, that helps us to forget our sadness, our disappointed, our stress, our frustration for some time, and gives us kind of pleasure and comfort, so that we forget our temporary sad phase of our life, and get immense pleasure out of recollecting those beautiful objects, okay, or recollecting a thing of beauty. So a thing of beauty, metaphorically speaking, can be anything that inspires us, okay, and in the context of the poem, it is all the objects of nature that give us some kind of pleasure, some kind of comfort. And the poet says that a thing of beauty is a joy forever, means it is a perennial source of pleasure for every human being. As it is a nature poem, I told you before, therefore the poet has taken examples from nature. But when we apply it metaphorically to our everyday life, those who are not living in the lap of nature, those who have brought up in the company of or in city surroundings, okay, in city environment, and for them it could be anything that gives them pleasure. As I told you, it could be anything, okay, that gives you pleasure, becomes a permanent source of pleasure or happiness for all of us. And whenever we go through any bad phase of our life, that particular thing of beauty becomes a source of inspiration for us, and we get a lot of happiness by recollecting that beautiful thing of beauty, or that beautiful thing that inspires us in our life, okay. So in the context of the poem, it's the objects of nature, and in the context of our everyday life, it could be anything that inspires us, the likes of which I have already mentioned, okay. Now let's go through the explanation part, the paraphrase part. You please go through with me, so that you can also recapitulate what I have just spoken to you. Okay, now you see, the poet gives the examples of the sun, moon, trees, daffodils and small rivers, and forest fern, which are the things of beauty found in nature, and they are responsible for creating beautiful memories for us during our bad phase of life, okay. So as it's a nature poem, he has taken objects from nature, and these are some of the examples of nature, like sun, moon, trees, daffodils, small rivers, forest fern. These are the examples of things of beauty which are found in nature, and they become a source of comfort or pleasure for us, okay, during our bad phase of life, okay. For example, trees both young and old provide shades to young sheep. Daffodils, by their green surroundings, are a source of perennial joy, means continuous source of joy, a continuous source of happiness is called continuous source. Something that continues, goes on for a long time, is called perennial. Clear streams, as I told you, like small rivers with clean water, provide cool breeze and give relief from the hot season, okay. The forest fern of musk roses is also a refreshing treat for the eyes, okay. So musk rose, forest fern with musk rose, okay, or forest fern of musk rose also refreshes our eyes or appeals to our senses. So like daffodils, or here in these few lines the poet has mentioned the examples like daffodils, and here musk roses of forest fern of musk roses. These things give us immense pleasure whenever we observe them or watch them. Therefore they become a source of pleasure or extreme happiness for us, okay. So the poet in this poem appreciates all those things which are things of beauty, and he says that a thing of beauty is always a joy for us. Why? Because it helps us to sustain our life in the sense that it helps us to move along with life. Whenever we have bad phase of our life, we tend to lean back on those beautiful objects that give us pleasure, sustenance, and by recollecting those objects, those memories, we tend to forget the unpleasant present situation in our life, and thereby they provide us thereby all the beautiful objects of nature, or all that inspires us a thing of beauty that gives us sustenance to go through the bad phase of our life by temporarily forgetting our unpleasant present. Okay, so that's all about lines 13 to 19. So those who are watching me right now, like Navya, Sanuvar, Vedant, Kanchan and Kanchan, only few of you, you can ask me if you have any doubt in these few lines. Okay, I'll explain you and then I shall again proceed with the next few lines. So do you have any doubt regarding what I have just spoken to you? If you have any doubt, you can text me quickly. I am awaiting for your response. I am awaiting for your response. So dear students, Navya, Sanuvar, Vedant, Kanchan, do you have any doubt regarding what I have just spoken to you? If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, I shall go ahead with the next few lines. Navya, are you listening to me? All those who are connected, please write yes. Just write yes. Navya, Sanuvar, Vedant, Kanchan, please text me yes so that I understand you are still connected with me. Dear students, kindly text me yes so that I understand that you are still listening to me. Navya, are you there? Navya, please let me know if you are still there, if you are listening to me. Well, dear students, now let me proceed to line number 20 to 24. And such too is the grandeur of the dooms we have imagined for the mighty dead. Such too, now the poet's attention has shifted from the beautiful objects of nature to all those people who have made a difference in the world with their contribution, with their iconic contribution. So the poet attention now shifts from objects of nature to the great personalities, the great people of the world who have contributed to the world and made a mark with their contribution to all of us. Okay, so And such too is the grandeur of the dooms. Grandeur of the dooms refers to presence of joy even in sadness. Grandeur of the dooms. Okay, we have imagined for the mighty dead. Mighty dead refers to famous people who have died. Okay, why are they called mighty? Because they were great personalities. They made a lot of difference in the world with their contribution. Therefore, they are referred to as mighty dead. Dead because they are no longer with us, they are no longer alive. And why mighty? Because they were great personalities who are still remembered even after they are no more with us. Okay, so the poet says that, and such too means those beautiful objects, beautiful immense pleasure or immense joy is also applicable, okay, to the people here. So, and such too means such a joy is also available in the grandeur of the dooms. Grandeur of the dooms means here presence of joy even in sadness. So what is sadness? Sadness because those great personalities, great people have left us, therefore there is a sadness. There is sadness, but still there is joy. Why? Because they have left the world their iconic contribution for which we feel proud. We have imagined for the mighty dead all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink. Okay, he says that all besides mighty dead, all lovely tales that we have heard or read, and all lovely tales, all lovely stories, or all lovely stories about successful people, or lovely stories about beautiful inspiring personalities that we have heard or read, they are also a perennial source of inspiration to human beings. That is why it's written an endless fountain of immortal drink. Immortal drink means perennial fountain of nectar. Okay, immortal drink means perennial fountain of nectar. So here the inspiration that the great personalities all across the globe provide us, okay, has been compared to a fountain. Okay, a fountain which continually keeps providing us nectar. What is the nectar here? Nectar is the inspiration here. So here all the great people have been compared to a perennial fountain, a fountain from where continuous nectar is coming out. Okay, so nectar here refers to the inspiration that the mighty dead or the great personalities have provided with the help of their contribution in the world. Okay, so their contribution has been compared to an endless fountain here, a fountain here, okay, of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heaven's brink, pouring unto us, being provided to us from heaven's brink. Heaven's brink here refers to the heavenly bliss, okay, because this constant nectar or the immortal drink that is coming out of the fountain is something which is so blissful, okay, something so blissful and divine that it appears that it is coming straight out of heaven. The nectar that is coming out of the fountain, as if it is being provided by the heaven, okay, by the Almighty God. Understood? Because this particular image of a fountain, continually providing nectar, is something which is so blissful that it seems that that nectar is coming right from the brink of heaven, okay, from the heaven itself. Understood? So lines 20 to 24 are the concluding lines of the poem, which say that not only are the objects of nature which the poet has mentioned, like sun, moon, daffodils, then like young and old trees and etc., but also those iconic personalities, those great people who are no longer with us, of course, but we still remember that they are a perennial source of inspiration to us, because they have left the world. Yet given the world so much so that they become a perennial source of inspiration for each one of us. Understood? So their contribution in the world has been compared to an endless fountain, to a perennial fountain from where the immortal nectar is oozing out. Okay, and it is so divine and so blissful that it appears that that particular nectar that is coming out of the fountain is coming straight away from the heaven. Okay, it means that the poet, with this comparison, the poet means to say that the great personalities of the world, the mighty dead, with their contribution to the world, they have become memorable in the hearts of the people, and whenever we think of them, we experience heavenly bliss. We experience heavenly bliss and heavenly bliss and inspiration, which is like a perennial flow of nectar from a fountain. It means their stories or their tales provide us so much inspiration that it becomes perennial to us. It always remains with us. Okay, that is why the poet has compared the tales, lovely tales of those mighty dead and famous personalities with an endless fountain. Understood? So dear students, now let's go ahead with the paraphrase of these few lines. Okay, while talking about the objects of nature that give us immense pleasure, the poet takes reference from our everyday life to justify that there is presence of joy even in the remembrance of famous people who are dead. They continue to inspire us. They continue to inspire us with their contribution in the world even though they are no longer with us. The poet further says in this reference that all beautiful stories of great people that we have heard or read are a source of perennial pleasure. Perennial means endless pleasure for us, as these stories continue to inspire us and help us sustain the hard times of life. These stories are like endless flow of water from a fountain, which are showered upon us from the Almighty God. We experience heavenly bliss when we take recourse to the life stories of great personalities. They are like endless fountain from which mankind can drink elixir of life, the nectar of life. Okay, they are these stories of famous personalities are like nectars for us. Okay, from whom we get the nectars for us, from which we get extreme pleasure and continued inspiration. Okay, so dear students, that's all about this poem. Now let me recapitulate. The poem gives us the message that a thing of beauty is a joy forever, in spite of the occasional bad patch in our lives, in spite of the just a minute dear students, let me adjust my pic here. Okay, so in spite of the occasional bad patch in our lives, bad patch means the bad phase of our life. Bad phase of our life is called bad patch. Okay, things of beauty are a source of perennial pleasure that helps us to sustain the trials of life. Trials means here challenges of life. Anything that gives us pleasure sustains us to face life during our adversary. Anything that gives us immense pleasure, that gives us immense happiness, that sustains us to face life during our adversary. Adversary here refers to the bad patch of our life, the temporary bad phase that every one of us sometimes go through. Okay, so that is what is the meaning of adversary. So anything that gives us pleasure, it could be the life story of a famous personality, it could be a sports personality, it could be a beautiful picture, it could be an object of nature, whatever gives us or makes a lasting impression in our mind. Okay, that helps us to sustain us, to face life during the bad phase of our life. Any form of beauty that inspires us is like an endless fountain. Any form of beauty, as I told you, the poet has taken reference from beautiful objects of nature, for you, for most of you who do not have the privilege to live in the lap of nature, who are who have grown up in the a city environment, for them it could be anything which is a source of pleasure for them. It could be a music for them, it could be a movie for them, it could be sports for them, it could be a famous personality for them, it could be a writer, it could be an actor, it could be a sports person, or it could be a social worker. Anybody that gives inspiration to them, anybody that provides pleasure to you can be a thing of beauty for you. And a thing of beauty, as the poet says in this poem, is a perennial source of pleasure for each one of us. Okay, next you see the poem conveys the message that the poet conveys the message that anything beautiful remains engraved in our heart and helps us live life in spite of trials and tribulations. Okay, this is the bottom line of the poem. The poet says that anything beautiful, okay, anything beautiful that makes an impression in our mind or impact in our mind, in our heart, that helps us to live life. That helps us to live every tomorrow of our life. Okay, in spite of all the problems, all the troubles, all the sufferings, all the challenges. Okay, in spite of everything, every bad phase of our life, in spite of every challenge of our life, something that makes a lasting impression to us on our day-to-day life helps us to sustain our life, or helps us to sustain our every tomorrow by recollecting those beautiful moments, those beautiful objects, those beautiful things. Okay, so that's all about this point, dear students. Hope you understood.